Good afternoon and welcome to TalkSports. It's our weekend program where we speak with the movers and shakers of sports, the sportsmen, sportswomen, just about everyone who are involved in sports. And on this weekend's program, we'll be looking at various issues as it relates to sports. Yes, sporting topics, right? We'll be looking at ICC the ICC World Cup that is currently on in India. We look at the CONCACAF Nations League. By the way, when we talk about cricket, we also want to talk about the inclusion of cricket, that's T20 cricket, in the 2028 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. Yeah, and we also looking at some football, the CONCACAF Nations League, some matches played on Friday night, on Thursday night, Friday night, and then there will also be some matches tonight, on Sunday, and I think Monday and Tuesday as well. So we have a couple of days of Nations League football. So we'll have some results and some highlights of that. We also want to take a look at the whole issue of mental health in sports, the whole issue of mental health issues in sports. It has been something we have touched on just lightly, previous programs. Our speakers have mentioned the whole issue of mental health, but we have not gone deep into it. We're hoping that at some point we'll do that to talk a little more about mental health as it relates to sports. We have known of the issues in the past when top athletes like Simone Biles and there's also Naomi, the tennis player, who have pulled out of tournaments, a year or two ago, and even the Olympic Games, for example, because, as they say, of mental health issues. Let me welcome my guest in Toronto. That is Rudian Sylvan. Yes, he is in Toronto. Rudian,
Hey
good
Michael,
afternoon
how
to
you
you.
doing?
I'm fine.
Afternoon to you and to the rest of the listeners. It's good to be back another Saturday talking
It is.
sports.
It is
It's always good. Yeah.
a rainy day in Brooklyn, New York. I don't know what it is like
No, we
in.
have the sun out there, but it's still chilly. Still a bit
Okay.
chilly. You have to pull out the little jacket, spring jacket. But it's the sun is bright. It looks like summer, but it trick you. People
Yeah,
might go
and
out there in a t-shirt or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
because for here in Brooklyn, it is basically around the 50s, 60s, especially in the night, it goes down a
In the
little bit.
night, it's going on a little bit. Same thing here because in the daytime, it
But
just
but I
sun just
realize that
bright,
in
bright, bright, and
Grenada
then
they still have
yeah,
some.
yep,
Yeah, I realize in Grenada they're still experiencing some of that
the
extreme
heat.
heat. You know, um,
Yeah,
yeah. I hope it's something they welcome to an extent, and then something that they can use wisely. In some instances, I was looking at
in some
something where
instance, yeah,
they, those folks who are, for example, who have the solar panels,
it
there
it
they
favored them. It favored them. Yeah,
yes, it
favored them
does,
a lot. Yeah, it favored them a lot. So yeah, but how is
yeah.
everything
So
otherwise? It's always good to be on. Like I said,
yeah, well,
it's gonna be an interesting day today. Talking about different things. Like I say, cricket and cricket, cricket in the Olympics now. That is an interesting one to get the details of.
yes,
We know of West Indies cricket, but we never,
yeah. So
yeah,
So it's a nice way for us to start off this program because it's as you mentioned that the IOC, they have announced, and it was actually forwarded by the executive board, because there are various arms of the IOC that will deal with these things, okay,
for these
and
things.
then
Yes,
there'll be
yes.
the General Assembly and all these sort of things. There's a process, as they will say, and it came that cricket is one of those sports that they have announced as part of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, right? Which is um, kind of interesting because people ask, why is the United States of places, well, whether or not cricket is a sport that will be able to survive. But remember, come 2024, the United States will be hosting matches in the
Yeah,
ICC
the
World Cup,
SEC
right?
in the World Cup.
Be
Yeah,
part
yeah,
of
yeah.
the process. Yeah. And so what they had announced is that baseball or softball, right? Cricket, T20 cricket, flag football, lacrosse, the sixes as they call it, and squash.
Squash.
Are
I
the,
saw the
yeah,
squash
they are
and I
the
was like,
yeah,
squash. I was like, what is going on?
yeah, they are the 5 sports that are actually submitted by the International Olympic Committee Executive Board, by the IOC's Executive Board, to the upcoming IOC session as additional sports for the Olympic Games in Los Angeles 2028. Well, more or less, if they submitted it, it's almost a rubber stamp. It's
It's a rubber
unlikely
stamp,
that
yeah.
it's unlikely that the session will deny. You understand what I'm saying? They take a little guidance from the executive board, so we can basically say that cricket, especially
Will be
T20,
on. It will be
will be
on.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
and and of course it will be interesting to know. And the question will be, how will the West Indies in particular, because remember the IOC recognizes NOCs, National Olympic Committees. So
National
it
Olympic
means that
committees.
they will have to participate as individual countries.
Individual countries.
So the question will be, how will the West Indies go ahead making, well, whether it's the qualification process, but first of all, it will have to be by you have the IOC, you have the ICC, which is the international parent body for cricket, and they will have to make a determination in terms of how will they participate. By the way, remember the Commonwealth Games, there's cricket, right?
Yes.
And there's no West Indies team in the Commonwealth Games. So I assume it will be something similar. However, I am
But
certain.
have you seen or known of any Caribbean team play in the Commonwealth Games?
Yeah, Barbados played in the Commonwealth
Or
Games.
Barbados played? Okay.
Barbados played in Commonwealth Games. I'm trying to remember who. Yeah, but yeah, the Commonwealth Games. I mean, obviously, you know, the India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, those Commonwealth countries obviously will dominate. But
Yeah.
but I am certain it's an opportunity for other, and especially what's happening around West Indies cricket. You know, there will be Barbados, Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, even Guyana may say, hey, this is an opportunity
Yeah.
for us to, you know,
Yep.
to
Antigua
be
maybe,
a part of the process.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm
Trinidad,
saying. To be a
Trinidad,
part of,
Trinidad.
to be on the
Yeah.
process. All right.
Yeah.
So it will have there will be a conversation going forward. And
So now, so here's the question: is cricket now an Olympic sport?
well, it will become an Olympic sport once it is
Become
part
an
of
Olympic
the
sport.
Olympic.
Yeah.
It will be an
But
Olympic
when would
sport.
that be? It will
Well,
be an Olympic sport when it get the okay for
yeah,
2028. Until
I
then,
think
it's not.
yeah, because I think the IOC session will have to make that determination. I'm trying to see if I think the IOC session is actually on this weekend in India, right? And I think when they will make that determination as to when it's fully endorsed, I don't know the
Yeah.
process in terms of when it will be, because remember, all now the whole preparations for Los Angeles 2028 basically on. Okay,
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
will become an Olympic sport once they get the
You'll
green
become
light.
an
You know,
Olympics. You'll
yeah.
become an Olympic sport.
Mind you, it's not the first time cricket will be played at the Olympics, because history has shown that cricket is actually making a return. Cricket was played in Paris in the 1900 Paris Olympic Games, right?
Oh.
Albeit we
But
don't
then
know
it's surprised
much
that
about it.
Paris didn't even put it in this one, which is
Well, yeah,
interesting.
yeah, that's true.
But
You know, so
but
then
what new game did Paris add on for next year that you
um
know of?
what they added, boy, I could always go back and check, you know, but
Yeah, I don't remember seeing anything that was added.
if they did such, it would have been a couple of years ago. Because remember, we
Yeah.
are talking about adding cricket to the Olympic Games, and we are 5 years away, right? So you see how
Yes.
much time they give in
They
terms of the
need
preparation.
the
Yeah,
preparation because I mean, like I said, depends on how many teams you're going to have based on the qualification. It's not going to be one game every time. You got to be at least two fields or three fields. They have to prep for that. So they have, I mean, LA is big enough to make several stadiums. Plus, they already had a few things from the last Olympics from many years ago. They just had to revamp it. But it's going to be interesting.
Mhm.
It's going to be interesting. Going back into the United States, it's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but let me tell you what I found from the IOC regarding cricket. They say part of the Olympic Games program at Paris 1900, cricket has more than 2.5 billion fans worldwide and represents an invaluable opportunity to engage with new countries and communities, including the growing Indian community in the US. Cricket brings a vast social media following. The men's 2024 cricket T20 World Cup will be hosted in the USA, and a new major professional league, Major League Cricket, was recently launched in the USA. T20, with a men's and women's tournament, is the format that will be played at LA 28. So, men and women, right? Remember that men's and women's
But that's
tournament.
what I was
And
about to say. So LA will be men and women.
yeah, it will be men's and
Yeah, there'll
women's
be
tournament come
and then women
2028.
tournament. It
Yeah.
comes
So
from
again,
2028.
and
Yeah.
we know it will be a T20 tournament. Okay. Some will be
Yes.
debating whether it will be T20 or T10, but it will be
T10.
a
Yeah.
T20. But it will be interesting, as you say, especially as it regards to the West Indies, how that process will be in terms of selecting the representatives, in terms of the NOCs in that region,
And that
qualifying
region. Yeah.
and all these
So
sort of
it's
things, right?
something we're gonna stick on for the next while to come once we get more information. Because
Yes, yes.
it's going to be interesting, and even the scheduling is going to be nice. I mean, is it you lose, you go home? Is it like it's one of those things, right? Is it one of those like you do get 2-3 games or one game and you go home?
But
Yeah,
I think the NOCs in the Commonwealth will have an indication, will have an idea because of cricket in the Commonwealth, like netball, all these sort of things. They will
yeah.
have an idea of how this will be. So they probably use that sort of template, that sort of format. Good afternoon to you, Edwin.
Pleasure to see you,
Good
man.
afternoon. Yes, and certainly I know it's is it a football day today? College football. What it is on the what is the interesting
Yeah,
game?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I
yeah.
realized that Colorado sort of
I didn't see
falling.
the end of I didn't see the end of the game, but there was like what 30 something to before I by the third quarter or something like that last night when I just shut it off
Well,
and it's like wow.
the thing about it is that you have to understand that and you're talking about you referring to Deion Sanders and his team, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. At the half, they were leading 29-0.
Okay, there you go. 29-0. Yeah.
Yeah. Stanford ended up winning 46-43. 46-43 was the final score in favor of Stanford, right? So
No
Colorado,
way. No
yes,
way.
yes, yes. It was
What?
yeah. They were leading
Stanford came back to win the game.
to win the game after being down 29-0 at the half.
Wow.
Yeah, that's you know, I
That's
know how that could be heartbreaking
wow.
for Deion Sanders and the guys, and
Wow. That's a blown in the
yeah,
face. That was like there is no way. Wow.
yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
Let me just get you some highlights because I indicated that there was some CONCACAF Nations League football played over the past 2 days. In Grenada at the Kirani James
Yeah,
Ahmed
there
Stadium.
was a
It
Grenada,
was
Jamaica,
Grenada
Grenada.
versus
Yeah.
Grenada versus Jamaica. Some highlights from that, courtesy CONCACAF.
From Karani James Athletic Stadium in St. George, Grenada. It's Grenada and Jamaica in CONCACAF Nations League group play. Josh Appel with you on this beautiful night. Thanks so much for joining us in what should be a competitive matchup in a series, though, that has been dominated by Jamaica. On the corner from Jamaica. Gregory Lee takes it. A header! Oh, what a big save! Are you kidding me? And did that one go through? And the ruling looks to be a goal for Jamaica. They break through first. Oh, and a miraculous save on the first attempt by Jason. Chance again for Jamaica. There's two. Shamar Nicholson extends the lead for Jamaica, 23rd minute. Goals 10 minutes apart for Jamaica in the first half.
Number 18, William Charles Cook of Team Grenada.
Ross in the middle, sitting there, a chance, oh, big save! Another one, and they score! Grenada breaks through and cuts the Jamaica lead in half. Big stop on the first chance, would not be denied on the second. Bad giveaway. Corner here. Flip down. Races on. Romario Williams there. Romario Williams. Oh, big save. And then plopping on it, Jason Belfon. He's had a night so far, if not for him. Jamaica with a chance. Jamaica! There's the breathing room they needed. Damari Gray of Everton pads Jamaica's lead in the 74th minute. Now they are. Handled it easily, now they come on the counter. And this is essentially a breakaway for Jamaica. Gray tried to slide it in front and was unable to. Good recovery by Grenada to keep this a 3-1 game. Another chance. And Jamaica puts this one on ice. Two late goals by the Jamaicans. You can put this one to bed. Bobby, it's Jamaica comes away victorious for the second time in CONCACAF Nations League 2023.
Okay, so that one was Grenada versus Jamaica. Jamaica winning 4-1 in that encounter. And they go on to, in fact, on Sunday, Grenada will be playing Suriname. They actually should be in Suriname. It's a busy turnaround. Jamaica actually is in Trinidad to play Trinidad, and Grenada in Suriname to play Suriname as it continues. Jamaica up on top, leading the standings, and you know, it's not good going for the Grenadians lads, and certainly they're hoping that they can bounce back and get something going on the standings. They're way down in the standings now. And certainly there's hope that Grenadians, you know, just might. Right? What do you think, Rudian?
No, definitely. There's always hope. Like I said, a former principal once says, goals win matches. It doesn't matter how you get it. So, you know, sometimes it's not necessarily the players, it's the goals. So all they need is one goal at a time, and anything is possible in football. So we are seeing some of the top teams in the world, or in let's use like Manchester United or Manchester City or Arsenal. You see them lose to to the team that's in the bottom of the pool. So it happens,
Mhm.
So just one of those things but it's possible. Let's do revamp, get themselves back together, and go there and play football.
All right. Just some comments there. John is saying that Grenada should have taken more shots to goal, play with the ball too much around the box. He also says the defense needs to improve, more attention of the game, head in the game. But it appears that Jason Belfont, the goalkeeper, had a very good, despite the scoreline,
Did some good
had a
savings.
very
Yeah,
good night.
yeah,
In fact, he has
yeah.
been pretty much, yeah. And as he said, thanks to Jason Belfont that the Grenadians didn't conceded more goals,
Yeah.
But there's
No, he
another
saved
game
good,
that
and
was
he's
played,
really
in
good.
fact,
Yeah,
an interesting game. Yeah, he's pretty good. Jason from Paradise FC. There was a game between Trinidad and Tobago. They hosted Guatemala in an encounter at the Hazley Crawford Stadium. Let's take in some of that action with that game there.
Greetings, everybody, from the Hazley Crawford Stadium in Port of Spain, in Trinidad and Tobago. A crucial night in the CONCACAF Nations League this evening. League A, Group A, as Trinidad and Tobago play host to Guatemala. And that's what's put them in this position tonight to help themselves out and get a step closer to the quarterfinals. And a shot will come in from Ryan Telfer, bobbled in the end by Hagen a bit dangerously. As we still are in search of our first big chance. He's speared over to the far side. What a step overs. Oh, what a shot comes in and it's touched home! It's the opening goal! Rubio Mendez on the doorstep scores for Guatemala. And the visitors strike first inside of 12 minutes and take a crucial 1-0 lead. It's poked back in towards Rubio Mendez. Rubio Mendez looks to find the angle. He doesn't give up! Oh, it's a great save. Denzel Smith. Harried by David. Maybe a chance for a cross. David beaten. It's a high arcer, volleyed by Santis, and then he tries again, and he scores! Oscar Santis hits it in off the post. And with 14 minutes left in the half, Guatemala lead by 2-0. His second goal of the group stage. On Angeron. Throws in a high arcer, and Hagen comes for it. He doesn't get it. It's a big chance! And nobody could get a big touch on it in the middle. It's recycled back out, and then a penalty appeal is given. Alvin Jones to get Trinidad and Tobago back in the game. Jones steps up and scores. Never any doubt, was there? Alvin Jones converts. Doesn't have a ton of help at the moment. Rubio Mendez has support off to his right. Nathaniel Mendez. It's not to his left. Oh, lovely ball through. It should be 3. It is, but the flag is up. Flag is up. Find somebody in red. Oh, he can! But Hagen makes the save, and the rebound is in! Rion Moore equalizes for Trinidad and Tobago. From 2-0 down, the Soccer Warriors are level. 2 each. And Port of Spain erupts. In towards the back post. Good header by Alvin Jones to get it away. It's going to be volleyed back in and right down the middle for Smith. To the far side and continued his run. Lovely bending ball into the path of Galindo. Nathaniel Mendez could have an opportunity here for Guatemala. A couple of step overs. Tries to chip it to the opposite side. Oh, it's a great save by Smith. He somehow keeps it from going in. From the corner, it's a lovely reverse ball. Be a chance to cross this in. It's off the crossbar. Did it go in? Ton sizes it up. Decent delivery. It is flicked on. Oh, it hits the frame. Oh, Christopher Baguette. It's going to be Nathaniel James. Oh, my goodness me. It's an absolutely sensational goal. The substitute completes the turnaround. And from 2-0 down, Trinidad and Tobago are 3-2 up.
A sensational.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
From
Yeah.
2-0 down to winning 3-2, but the last goal
3-2.
was the substitute
a
came
beauty.
on and a free kick, and Nathaniel Jones get that into the back. But there were two instances. It's questionable because I don't know if CONCACAF is actually using VAR, because I'm not sure
That goal was a goal. He hit the line.
Well,
He
yeah,
hit
that's
the
what I'm
line.
saying. We only have the benefit of the replay, but I don't know if
Yeah. When I saw the replay, I said he hit the line. He hit the line.
the
Yeah.
replay showed that it actually crossed the line.
He crossed the
And
line.
then-
And all you need is a little bit of the ball
Yeah.
to cross the line. You don't need
And then that penalty that Trinidad got, it could be
It was
questionable.
outside. It was outside. When you paused it, it was outside. It was outside the zone. It was outside the zone. But
I think
it's
it's time that CONCACAF
they take another level. Yeah. They take another level.
Technology. I mean, we have the benefit of looking at the replay and in slow motion and all these things, And they could as well, in terms of if they're using the technology,
They have to take another level. You can't stay in the same level when the rest of the world is moving up, and so something have to be done. I think they have to take another level up and start using video, and as a decision maker. And they do it everywhere. They do it in the World Cup. They do it in Olympics. They do it in so many different places that I think it's time for them to start investing in the equipments for those things. Yeah. And then is it? Yeah.
Good afternoon to you, Kelvin Hector. Oh, Coco Short. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. It's one of the best games I've seen Grenada. Going forward, the team. Going forward, yes, he said they look good, but as always, I say this is one of the games you have lost at a time, and the team can walk with a smile. Well played, Grenada. I'm getting that sort of reaction from some of the
However, Michael, I've seen this before, and I'm not saying Grenada cannot move forward and play forward, but it's to the level of a team. Jamaica is one of the best, is the best, and you play your best game. And when you find a team that might be a little not as strong, you step to the level of that team. So you're always bouncing around. So they just have to play their own game and play the same game and not change the style based on a team, the way another team coming into play. We see it in a lot of different sports. Teams step to the same level as the other team. So you play a strong team, everybody playing strong. You play a weak team, everybody level drop. And sometimes we need to change that strategy in terms of how we play and not let our other team dictate how we play the game. So if they play the same way, they have a good chance in doing some good things and bringing the name football back to the Caribbean for Grenada.
Yeah, I want to agree with that. It's important that we live the standard of even the local tournaments as well, because if that's the feed for you for your national teams, okay? And I say national teams because whether it's the men's, the women's, the youth teams, you know. And I was reading something where someone was making a comment that apparently the national coach is having problems unearthing, you know, talents, local talents, home-based talents for the team, because mind you, that team that played in that game against Jamaica was mainly home-based players. A large part of the team are home-based players. A number of the top guys like Ray Charles and John and others, somehow they were missing from that. I don't know for what reason or reasons, okay? But a number of these guys are home-based players, which also means that if what we're hearing, that in terms of the standard of play from these guys, okay, and it's looking good in terms of going forward, it probably augurs well for the national team in the future, okay? But as you indicated, Rudy, and playing a team as Jamaica, you want to have your best team, you know? You
No,
want
definitely,
yes, you
definitely.
want
You want to have your best team because they are the best in the Caribbean, and you want to be able to have your best team play them. So in the end, there is no chat and say, well, some of our players is not there. You know, no, you have to learn, find a way to to get the players back home if they're not home, and other countries does it, but we don't know the situation. Like you got the guys in them who's on contract, and they probably have other games that, like sometimes we say, is their bread and butter, right? Compared to coming home and
yeah,
playing for the team where they have other players that they could utilize. So, and then sometimes at the same time, when you get the chance to step up, you have to step up. Some of the guys this is their first time they probably get to play, and you have to step up because you are part of the national team. You get a chance, prove them that you are worthy. I remember there was a Chinese boy who played for the Knicks, and one of the players got hurt, and then he stepped up, and then he become the starting lineup. And so it's like all of a sudden he must step up and he start playing well, and then he become part of the starting five, because you get the opportunity, you take advantage of it, and that's just really what it is. Yeah.
yeah. All right. So when we spoke to Mr. Brian Lewis, the General Secretary of the Caribbean Association of National Olympic Committees, about 2 weekends ago, he mentioned about the CANOC General Assembly that was scheduled
Yeah.
for Barbados. So it actually took place last weekend, and there were some very interesting discussions. It's pretty long in terms of the assembly itself, but I was, following bits and pieces of it, and somehow I came across something that I want to share. I want to play a little segment of it, and then I'll get back to the
Yeah.
discussion with you folks on that.
Personal reflection, because we've talked a lot today about where we've come from, and Jasmine also touched on cricket. And for me, it is very personal because my grandfather was a member of that 1928 cricket team to England with Larry Constantine. And in our family, we are well aware of the stories that he has told about what he went through in 1928. We are now very close to 2028. And I think that we owe it to all of ourselves, to him, and to all of the Larry Constantines of this world, to make sure that we haven't wasted those 100 years in a very inclusive way, having regard to all that's been said.
Okay, so that was Sandra Osborne, who is the president of the Barbados Olympic Association, speaking about cricket. And that was actually before the actual announcement that, cricket will be in the Los Angeles Olympics 2028. So since then, a lot of things have developed, but in anticipation, because it was known that cricket will you know, be among the sports that will be recommended, etc., etc. And you know, the certainly, as you're hearing from her, that 100 years later, because she was speaking about 1928, you know, so Larry Constantine and others, that it would be welcome for cricket to be back in the World Cup. I want to play another segment. This time you will hear or see our own Vida Bruno Victor speaking about a very important issue. So let's hear what she had to say.
Young man, the young males. What about the disenfranchised young women? And the reason why we have so many disenfranchised young men is because they're coming from single women. Their mothers are single women who their fathers are not supporting them, they're not getting any help. And so these young women are suffering and they cannot provide properly for the young men, for their boy children. So as we consider this, and I'm not saying that our young males, we're not seeing a higher percentage in our males, but we have to look, and we're looking at root problems at this point in time. And if we're looking at the root problem, why we have so many young disenfranchised males, we have to look at the root problem that they're coming from single family homes. They're coming from women who have been abandoned by the men, and they are struggling with these children, and they don't have the help. Even we in society at times have abandoned them. We're not helping them. We see them and we just say, oh, she's tired, have children. And instead of us trying to understand why she keeps having children despite her economic problems. So it is just not, as we're saying, root problems. That is one of our root problems, so we have to look at it both ways. And we do have young women who are being disenfranchised just the same way.
Thank you. Peter?
I agree with the lady, just that is going to take us 2 days with that particular issue. So I want to agree with my friend from the university. I want to agree with you, and I want to I don't know really what CARICOM, how CARICOM understands sport. I really don't know how governments in the Caribbean, what they think about sports. I really don't know. I was permanent secretary in a number of ministries in Grenada. And when you have to cut a budget, there's no money. What do you think is cut first? All the time, every time. And even if it's agreed before, it is still. What is the reason? We have to get gas for the hospital, we have to get something for agriculture, and all different reasons is given when we cut the budget for sports. All different reasons. But what as a region, what is our perspective? What do we think? Joachim is right. What do we think? What do we really think about sports? How do we see it? As a matter of fact, so our boy gets the bronze and our Bajan friend gets the bronze, and it's not a big thing. But when I came on an airport and I saw all the pictures of, I feel good, I feel so proud. But it is not a big thing anymore to the struggling people who have tried to pull our region together through sports. We have to do things to encourage our people to see the importance and the value of sports. Value is a good word. They must see it, they must feel it, they must know it's there. You can't train all your life. I'm going to give you one example only. We have 3 brothers in Grenada, 2 of them in sport, and the other brother worked with Gren Lake. The other brother has retired, he has a business, he has an apartment building rented out, his mother has a house, he has his own house, his brother is there today, he's there staying with him. What does the brother have who spent all his life and was brighter than, was head boy in the school that he was in? Spent all his life, all his time in sports. Show me what he has. So do you think young people would want to go into something where they can't get anything? Where is the gentleman who talk about the young people? They need to see that they are important. Times have changed. Times have changed. The media in picking up the news and bringing netball like long time. Long time when a match playing, it come on the radio and everybody listening. Everybody in the community want to see what Vida team do. If they win, nothing so. So have we progressed? No, we have not. How can we move forward? How can we get our people to come together and understand that sports means something? And it could take you away from everything that is wrong. You don't have to go to the hospital because you're sick anymore. We have to tell them things. We have to talk. And we have to talk the talk that makes sense. All this kind of thing we don't want to say, that thing ain't making sense to young people. What makes sense to young people is for them to see what they can get from the whole thing, and us as a region coming together. Alfred said confusion. I think it's not really confusion. We just sometimes too envious. I don't understand why we don't understand we are all one. I studied in Australia. When I went to Australia, I said, do you know where the Caribbean is? A little boy put up his hand. And he said, yes, miss. Where Vivian Richards come out? Well, at least that's the start. Keith was right. That's the start of in Australia in Perth. And that's the only thing that trend you about the Caribbean. The only thing. So we have to understand that as a region, we need to get CARICOM and our government ministers, our prime ministers more involved and let them see that there's a light under the tunnel through sports. Other than that, we're going to just go around and go around.
With Fortuna.
Yes, be that.
So you may not, and I'm saying that you may not like her, but you will have to love what she said because it makes sense. It is the truth, and we have had that discussion many times. I mean, even our good friends from NACAC, for example, the president has been calling for a meeting of the minds, a discussion, a regional discussion regarding sports among the CARICOM leaders, and she gave some examples there, which, I mean, fits in nicely. And I think it was well received. I mean, after listening to the other speakers, they made reference to her comments and things like that. So it was well received because some of them were able to relate to what she was saying, even in their own countries regarding, even, for example, as she said, when you have to cut budgets, the first one to be on the chopping line, most times sports, because as far as they're concerned, sports is not a revenue earner. So yes, agriculture, health, education, security, all these get priority over sports. They don't see sports as one that is generating income, but forgetting, as she says, the socio-economic impact of sports on communities. How you can use sports to help in fact, the previous speaker was talking about the whole issue about the young ladies, the young women, and the men, and all these sort of things. Okay, how you can get sports and get our young people involved in sports and participating in sports rather than violence. Okay, so if you turn a blind eye on sports, then you may be creating another issue that has to do with health, that has to do with security. It means that you will have to spend more money on health, you have to spend more money on security and other areas, whereas you can make an investment in sports. So quite a bit said there by Vida. Edwin says, well said. Roger is saying, in support of Vida's points, I've never seen a sports headliner on the front page of a local newspaper. Sports news are small as the classifieds on the second to last page in all local newspaper. Talking about value, all stakeholders are working in silos. Well, in fact, only this week gone by, I was speaking to someone regarding sports, and how passionate I am when it comes to sports in the media. And I'm saying, what we hear now on some of the networks, well, when I say networks, the media houses in Grenada, we hear about sports highlights. So it means that whether it's 1 minute or 2 minutes, sports highlights, and it's no longer that you cover in sports, but all that you do, you just make mention of some sporting items. So enough, as they would say, enough for a few items of sports. And it's almost like a passing thing. If you have time, you put in 2 issues regarding sports and things like that. So she's right. A lot of things that she said, coverage of sports, and she used netball as an example. The focus of governments regarding sports, how serious they are, and CARICOM as a whole. I've reached out, for example, to the OECS regarding the OECS Sports Desk. Well, I got a response after probably about a month. I probably will share it some other time. I have it somewhere there. But it just shows you the lack of enthusiasm and interest among these people. But however, they are the first to issue media releases congratulating and photo ops and all these sort of things. They are in the front line. They are first on the airport, but then after that, it all talk done, Rudia?
Certainly. 2 things. I totally agree with Vida on that. It's not something that is new to us, something that we talk about. Sports do build a nation. Sports do build community. It's something that we had, in my days and your days, it was probably way more than in my days in the activities in sports, in different sporting activity that takes place in your area growing up, and you see sport as the thing. And every sport, you play sport, we never play. I played moral, I played netball, we do everything. We played what is there, and as kids, we was involved in the things in the community. That's no longer there as we want it to be. And the other part of it is, yes, here you are, Vida, in Barbados speaking, but do you speak up in Grenada? Do you say something in Grenada? Do you put an ad in the paper in Grenada? And I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. They are in the position to speak up and said sports is on the. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that sport is the last thing that get cut.
In defense of Vida, what she's saying is, I can tell you, it's nothing new. It's not that she has not said that before.
Yeah.
In fact, it was. I recall it was at an award ceremony, for example. She was speaking and she spoke about that. So it's not the first time she is really raising those issues about that. And it's well known. She was just reiterating what we well know, that when it comes to budget cuts,
and now we know, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is on the chopping block. We know that it's not only there, but with the pressure have to come from the people as well as from those in position to the government in every country.
I can understand that, but when it comes to these things and the decision makers and things, you can only voice your concern. You can only relate, but it's whether or not, and it's
they're
not
gonna listen.
It's not yesterday these things are happening, and in most cases, you feel almost there's a level of empathy, because obviously when it comes to health, there is this notion that you give health priority, this notion that you give education priority, is this notion that you give agriculture priority over other sectors sometimes, okay? So there's some level of empathy sometimes, because they'll come and say, hey, we'll have to cut the budget, and I believe that you may have to cut back on this and that and the other and things like that. So what else can you do? You can object, but, you're not the one holding the purse. You're not the one making that.
No, but listen, Michael, I said there's a lot of things that build a country: the healthcare, education, and young people, and a lot of other stuff fall fall behind it, and they are putting stuff in front of it. Okay, if you educate the young people, they will get into agriculture. But if you don't educate them, you put in agriculture first, or at least in the bracket before educating them about it. You know what I mean? So you have to educate them on the things you want them to do and the things you want for them. And how do with the young people is sports. So these are the things that have to be said constantly. Like I said, an ad need to go out in the paper. Like those things need to be said constantly. And I'm not saying, and forgive me for my ignorance towards that. I'm saying I never heard her say anything, so I'm just saying based on that. But if she did speak about it, that's good. But
Yeah,
we have to
but
do more. It has to be
yeah, and it's
done
not.
more. Yeah.
I agree, but I'm saying, and she's not the only person who would have
Oh,
been
yeah. Yeah.
speaking about that. Okay, it's something
Yeah.
that is just
Um,
not, it's just not getting to their
to who
understanding.
needs? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
is basically she's just repeating what she has been saying before.
Said
Okay,
before, yeah, and the
and
same
just
thing with us here.
reiterating. Yeah.
We keep saying
Um.
it. What was the future plan? What is going on? What is happening? Where is the programs? Where are the programs in place? And a lot of this stuff is what's lacking because, like, the young lady talk about the mother, and does that fall under sports? I mean, you guys are like, and
Yeah,
I'm not
but using
disputing what she's saying, but she was making an example of
and
where are them to give the help and the support to those people so that the young people could have better for them, and people can be there to understand why this young lady is having kids and nobody's asking the question. They're just
listen,
talking about it. Nobody's being there, and even though who's giving her the support, and some people have learned, and please, it might be ignorant for me to say it this way, some people love to be poor. And I've heard somebody said that because they said that if they claim they don't have constantly, they get. And they like to have that. They like to have that. Being poor is a good thing to them because they get a handout from somewhere and people feel sorry for them. There are people who feel that way. Um, not everyone, but some people don't like that feeling. Nobody want that feeling. Nobody want to know what they're going through and what they're not going through. But it has to be speak up. It has to be speak up. It has to be pushed into the governments across the Caribbean, not only in across everywhere. It's not
yeah,
only in the
that's why.
Caribbean. It's
Well, that's why.
everywhere.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
why she made the she did not just reference Grenada. She talked about
yeah.
CARICOM, right?
In
So
CARICOM, yeah,
it's not a
yeah.
Grenada issue.
No.
It's
It's a
a
CARICOM thing. Yeah,
a
yeah,
regional issue where she's saying that it's time that regional governments, because ultimately they are the ones who, responsible for budgets, blah blah blah, etc.
yeah.
It's time for them to understand the importance of sports. They talk a lot about sports and the value of sports, but it's not really practical. Ray Roberts is saying, "Good afternoon to you, Ray." He said, "Well said, Vida. Thanks, Mike, for highlighting the Vida's excerpt. What a pity it did not make the news. Roger, that's
Hmm.
he's referring to Roger Duncan. You're not right about the papers. Look at this week's Voice. That's the Grenadian Voice. And you'll see the netballers are on the front page." Roger,
Yeah,
Ray is saying
yeah.
that the netballers are actually on the front page of the Grenadian Voice on this weekend's. And I must give credit to the Voice in particular, because whether it's the front page or the back page, there is sports covered in
Yeah,
the Grenadian Voice. And this is historical. This goes way back when,
yeah,
since
yeah.
the late Leslie Pierre was around. He gave um, preference and he gave coverage to sports. Sports made um, front and back page whenever it's possible. Okay, so yeah.
And if you
Um,
go back, she made one comment again. She said she went to school in Australia and she asked, and the young man raised his hand and say, Viv Richards. And if you go, let's use Grenada for an example. If you ask the kids who is Viv Richards, they don't know. Education, that's not happening. They're not educating the kids on of the greatness that make the Caribbean to where it is based on sports. It just happened that way. Sport is a big part of where the Caribbean at. You know what I mean? And a lot of these kids don't know who's who.
yeah.
They
Um,
don't.
Roger said earlier, which I think is important, I didn't want to miss that comment. He said that we are not playing enough community and secondary schools football. Bascom, I'm sure you can recall the large number of home and away football games at the secondary school level. Yeah,
Hmm.
GBSS traveled and played in Guelph, Sotels, and Grenville, and other schools did the same. We got to play more games. Well, yes, because I can, and Roger is correct, because I
I'm
can
correct
recall
too. I
that,
travel a lot. I travel a
when
lot
the
to
school
play
team is
games.
going, when,
Yeah.
yeah, when the school team is going out to play, sometimes you're playing 2 games a week, away games.
Hmm.
So you'll
Yeah.
have buses for the supporters, the students who are going to support, and you'll have a bus for the team, and yeah, and we get to go um, to various parishes and interact
Hmm.
and watch matches. And you're talking about home and away games, because okay, you went up to your played SAS, SAS will have to come down to Tanti to play the
Yeah.
return game,
Yeah.
all these sort of things. And yeah, a lot of football was played then. He's saying that he's not so sure that that is the case. I mean, football is going on, at this stage, but not so sure. He also indicated, well, he said before that, he actually said, thanks, Ray. So he acknowledged that, okay, so the Grenadian Voice have some sports with the netballers on the front page. But we have to say congratulations to the netballers, by the way, even though we didn't amplify that. But we have to continue our congratulations to the netballers on winning the ECCB OECS International Netball Series. They played and losing only one match against Barbados, but Barbados was an invitation team. So Barbados won all their matches though, but Grenada only lost to Barbados. But when it comes to the OECS, Grenada, they were crowned overall champions. And Roger is saying, walk around all communities in Grenada on a Sunday and observe nothing is happening. The communities are primed to receive activities. Imagine active sports being played on a Sunday in communities across the country, including
Yeah.
secondary school competitions in football, netball, etc. Wow, a win for all. Let's leverage the community. And that's why in places like Jamaica, for example, they play some of their school matches, football games on a weekend. They play them on a Sunday. They have their football matches, they have their cricket matches. They play them on the weekends, and it's almost like a community activity, because you have the students who will come out at times, well, if they're not playing on school days. And then you have the communities, because you will go, for example, could you imagine you playing, let's say McDonald College, for example, is playing at FAR, right? Fun Recreation Ground. You have not just the students, but you have the past students, or you have members of the communities, you have parents, everyone coming out,
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is a sort of, and as Roger is saying, that's a win-win. If you have, and that is part of the community sports. Having, you can communicate with the ministries of sports and education, for example, even if it's not part of the secondary school tournaments. But the secondary schools can also do that, right? But
Yeah.
let's say a community wants to do that. They can arrange with the school, the ministries of education and sports, and have, schools playing, whether it's a friendly game or whatever it is. It can be a volleyball game. It can be a netball game. It can be a football. It can be even a cricket match, being played, if it's outside of the organized secondary school sports. But all these things are community activities, and I think, it could be a win-win for our community sports and bringing back people into the community spirit and things. Probably something we can think of going forward for our 50th anniversary of independence, where we can have more of these activities, right?
No,
We didn't get to
but
speak.
it's something that
Yeah, go
really
ahead.
had to be done. Like, it's definitely something that had to be done. Like I said, a lot of stuff is not like we used to be. And we understand the change. We understand some of the generation that coming up, those who in charge, they may not love the sport as when we were there. That is an understanding statement. I get it. But
Yeah,
there's some things that have to stay in place, and you can't lose that, because like I said, we play lots of games in school, and on a Sunday there is something netball in Sutters or football in four. We always have something. Magna College Ground, Shantimel, Rose Hill, Plains. There's always something going on where you have the community come out, and it was always around 3 o'clock, 4:30. People come out. 6, 7 o'clock, kids go home for school the next day. But you don't have that anymore. And then we talk about the
yeah.
fields now. All of the fields have lights, and there is
Well,
nothing.
most of them.
Yeah, most of them. But I mean, in St. Patrick, those that major,
Okay.
all the major fields have lights. From
Yeah.
Shantimel come all the way down to River Sally. And here we are there is nothing up. They ask for the lights, they get it, and then nothing happened. So yeah.
Okay. Just before we end, now Ray is saying something there that I mean, it's not the first time he's saying that. He says, Mike and Sylvan, a growing deficit in our sports organization is very few of our administrators are club leaders or club members. Many are in the top office because a son or a daughter is champion. In the 70s, 80s, leaders came from clubs and a track record of being passionately involved. And that's the root, eh? That's the root problem of our administration of clubs and even our administrators. Some people get into the positions by default, and as Ray indicated there, some of them, because your son
Kids
or
are
daughter,
involved.
are
And once
involved.
they leave, and once they're done, you're done too.
You finish. Yeah, so you don't really have a passion, except that
For it.
it's because your son or daughter is in, and that's the problem. You don't even have a track record of being a club member. So they came to a meeting, and because it's his son or his daughter, this person will say, okay,
They're
this person
involved.
will be a president. And then there's also the issue that we always been talking about. In some instances, the person who may make the most noise, who may ask the most questions, they believe by right that person should be the president, And what we need is more people being involved at the club level. And club, it is important as well we have more proper club structures we have been talking about. We just have a lot of teams. And you have a manager, and you have a coach, or you have the coach manager, and just a few guys, and we go and we play football, as they say, we have a sweat. And
that's how it used to be. That's how it used to be. And we need to change. It used to be this way where the coach was everything.
No, but it used to be so for some.
Yeah.
Right?
For some. For some.
But back then we had very proper club structures. But albeit there wasn't the technology.
Yeah.
So you didn't have emails and blah 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 and things.
And those type of things. Yeah.
Because I was part of Queen's Park Rangers back then, right? And I recall the women cricketers, the footballers, the netballers, and even in some instances, one or two who were members that were probably involved in track and field and things like that. So, and we used to meet, club meetings used to take place at the old Queen's Park. And when you have a club meeting, the community basically coming out, right? You have, and mind you, you had grandmothers and grandfathers who were members, right?
Michael, what changed that today? What in your view, what changed today?
Well, a lot of things, and probably I may have to bring Ray back on the program so Ray can probably talk about these things.
Kind of break it down to us in his point of view.
Ray was part of clubs in back then, okay?
Yeah.
And we had because my mom, my aunts, all of them were club members. And I mean, we talk along, right? We were very young, but that was it, even the Chenny Joseph, all of that, because Chenny's mom, his sisters, everybody were club members. And I'm talking about even before Chenny became involved in football and all of that. Well, I mean, when I say involved, playing national football and things, all these guys used to be around. You're coming along with your parents, attending club meetings, okay? And note taking, because what we call subs at the time, you're paying your dues, as they will call it.
Your dues,
they call it your subs, and there were active participation. I mean, it will be different now because of, as I say, because a lot of things have changed.
Time change,
You can have meetings that are virtual, all this sort of thing. But we have lost that participation, club participation. We have even lost the whole issue of club membership and involvement, okay? And what had happened over this time to Rudian is that people were in positions and they were able to grow, right, into those things, right? So you had a secretary, you had a president, you had a vice president, And these were basically opportunities for them to move on to other levels. Some people even move from clubs into workplaces, because of their participation in clubs.
In
They were able
clubs.
to, and things like that.
Yeah.
So what
There is a lot of changes, and there's a lot
yeah.
of things too. When you made a comment of those who get the positions, I know of someone who.
Hey, and by the way, I'm saying, Rudian, don't get the impression that I'm old. I'm that old. I'm
No,
still
no,
young.
no.
I'm still young. It's just
I
that
know, I know.
it's
No,
just
no, no.
that
But
I
the
can
true fact
remember.
is that
I can
no,
I can remember
it's a
those
true
things.
fact because I know someone who in St. Patrick's where no one who ever played sport haven't gone through that person in the whole of St. Patrick's, especially dealing with primary schools, and in the parish council he was never asked to be a part of it. There is no sport that he haven't been involved in for the young generation in the whole of St. Patrick's. There's no one from St. Patrick who ever run track or play soccer who say they never been coached by him when it comes to elementary school, the primary school. And in the parish council, he's not involved. People who never do something, who never played a sport before, is involved. And he's never asked to, to ask a question or be a part of it because he's still involved in it. So how do we move forward in that? Is that it just giving somebody a position who some of them never played the sport before? They just want to have a position. And that needs to change because you need people who have the vision, who want not everyone who is played the sport have to be involved in it. But when you have so much of them who haven't played the sport is involved in it, and then you see nothing happening. That's why a lot of this parish council is not functioning as it should. Because they are the people in position who is not want to be there for the right reasons.
Well, Rudian, that's why I'm telling you, I enjoy, and I guess as much you as well, enjoy having these discussions every weekend, because I think we get to learn a lot. We express, well, ourselves, our own opinions at times, and we share the opinions of others as well. We can try to keep the conversation alive. Give people the opportunity. And the folks like Ray and Roger and Edwin and John and others,
and
really
they are forefront, and they have seen more things that we can see right now, and they have so many things that they can say and so many things that they can talk about of where we're coming from. And we see parishes like, we talk about St. Patrick's and we don't have a track and field club, and the question was why. And that's where the council come in, and so it's a lot of little things. And we're not trying to elevate people. It's not trying to keep anyone down. Our job is to always elevate someone who wants to be elevated. If someone wants the position, to elevate them, but we have to be able to think something have to change somehow, some way. Like I said, youth and sports should be the top 3 priority of any government. And that, in my opinion.
As Roger Duncan is saying, we became selfish, that's all. We went on bus tours as a group, a club, on holidays. Now we go with our own family. We wouldn't even give a friend a ride. That's simple.
Yep.
Yes, and we can, recollect on how many bus tours we went on holidays. And as he said, we went, whether it's school bus tour, whether it's clubs, whether it's community bus tour. As he indicated now, it's more we go with the family. Family jump in the ride, and we go on a tour. Times have changed, and again, some people may say it's all because of social media and the internet and all these things. People have become a bit selfish. People are now on their phones, spending more time on social media, interacting on social media rather than interacting with friends, these things. Whereas before, a friend will drop by and you sit down in the veranda and chat for a while. Now you probably chat with them on WhatsApp, sort of thing. So a lot of things have changed,
There's a lot of things that change. However, Mike, and this is, Grenada and the Caribbean is different, and not only all Caribbean islands, because you have those islands where it is a big, the community stuff is huge. In Trinidad, in Jamaica, in Barbados, those things that used to be what build the community is still there. That never changed. You see, no school sport is in Jamaica. We're not trying to go because the population is more. It's that passion and the outside, the communities. I mean, I was in Jamaica and there was a football game and the stadium was packed. It was, and I was just driving by and it was just packed. And I said, like, do we get that now? Do we get that home? But that aspect in Jamaica never changed. And we used to have that, with the small number that we have. It used to be when you go to the field, it's like the whole of Grenada is there, because find people coming from everywhere. They hear about the thing. Hurricane. Talk about Hurricane when they play football. When Hurricane come to Fort Pasture, they play Eagles or North Stars. It's like the whole of the community is coming with the team, and they feel like the whole of Grenada is there. When police is coming or Queens Park Rangers or any other teams that are coming up, it's like they're coming with the whole thing. You feel like the whole of Grenada now is in Saturns. So however, we don't get that anymore and try to figure out how do we get that back. Not necessarily the exact same concept, but how do we get the community to get involved now? Because that's how the young people get involved. However, if there's a job somewhere, the whole of Grenada is there. They can come to that. So we have that. So we see where our priority is. The priority is kind of switch to one thing to the next with the generation today. So something have to change, but we have to bring it back somehow and some way and get things going.
Roger, please don't shoot me, but the democratic style of governance cannot transform us. I will leave that there, and I do understand what you're talking about.
I understand what he said.
Folks, time for us to wrap up, but just to let you know, we didn't get to talk about the mental health, but I still think I still have a little piece that I want to, well, at another program, though, we'll talk about it because I think we need to talk a lot more about it. But just to let you know, well, you talk about, crowd and participation. Well, India played Pakistan today in the ICC Cricket World Cup. And you should have seen what you talk about the crowd, You should have seen that stadium, But India won that game by 7 wickets with 117 balls to spare. And India looking, as all the people have been saying, they have been predicting probably an India-Pakistan final, but India looking as a team to beat so far in this
and only that too, they are hosting, so they're home.
Yeah,
so they have to be able to show, hey, we can do that, right? So yeah.
But it's always a spectacle to see when India and Pakistan, because we know the history between India and Pakistan.
Let me go further, Michael. Let me go further than that. I have a friend who left to go to that game. The person is in India now for that game from Canada. They go for that game. They went for a month, but they plan it where they can go to that game.
To that game, yeah.
So it's like people travel for those things, and it shows the difference. India, that's what India have. They have the little sports coming up, but cricket is the fundamental thing for them. Yeah.
And that's why they believe that the cricket at the World Cup will be a big thing, because when you look at India's population alone and the following of cricket, the following of cricket, which is almost a national sport there, they know that it will be big.
They travel with it. They travel with the cricket. They come to Canada now in Brampton and in Toronto. Cricket is like cricket. They have their own cricket thing happening now.
Well, listen, Canada has qualified for next year's World Cup. And when you look at the names of the players that represented Canada, there isn't one single name that relates to Canada. All the names is
Indians.
Mohammed, it's Indian.
Pakistanis or Indian. Yeah.
As we say, South Asians,
Yeah. They carry with it. They move with it. So yeah.
Yeah. There are two other points. I just want not points, some comments I want to raise, and then we'll wrap up. John is saying when Fontenoy, or he calls them, we call them Point at this time, coming down to play is shell blowing. Point people coming down, and true, because in River Road, Point is coming down, let's say on a Sunday afternoon to play against Queen's Park Rangers, you heard the shell blowing from way back, there. And it's the point supporters, as they say, well, Fontenoy, but the point supporters are on their way down. Okay. And Ricky Morris, good afternoon to you, Ricky Morris. Ricky is a former footballer, well, let's say a sportsman, because Ricky played football, he played volleyball, he represented St. John's Christian Secondary School. Yeah, I think it was St. John's Christian Secondary School. He said, my friend Michael Bascom, the club structures as they were could no longer meet the demands of the players and the community members. Therefore, they lost trust, relevance, and validity they once had. I can offer much more on this topic, but I will stop here for now. So he said they lost a lot, trust, relevance, and validity they once had. Thank you, Ricky, and good hearing from you. Ricky played for Hurricanes as well. Yes, he played school football, he played for Hurricane, he played for Grenada, and he also played some college football as well. Ricky Morris was one of those that thought would have continued for quite a while, but he's doing well. He's doing well. I think he's a pastor, and just like Shaw and Merriman, they came through as well-rounded sportsmen and sportswomen, attended colleges, and doing pretty well. Thank you very much, Ricky, for that insight there. Thank you again, Rudian.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, as indicated, we want to have a program because I have a very important function to attend next Saturday, which is the 21st. So we'll be back on the 28th of October. That is our last program for the month of October. So hopefully we'll have someone to talk and give some more insight into some sporting topic. But always a pleasure having you. Always a pleasure hearing your
it's always a pleasure. No, definitely. It was a good 2 hours, input everything. We are talking about the same thing for the past 2 years, and hopefully those who need to hear it will hear it. And that's what we're hoping for. And we love, because we love our country so much, we are so passionate, the future of our country grow in sports. And so that's why we have this, to talk about sports, but to also see how we can build our community and build our country in sports. So that's the idea. And hopefully those who can make an impact can hear what we are saying and either come on and give their point of view of where things are, or at least make a change somehow, some way for the better of the youth in Grenada and sports on a whole.
All right. Thank you, John. And thank you also to Roger. How much more Saturdays before Christmas? I would say probably about 8
6. 6 or 7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah, about 8 because
7 or 8. Yeah.
The 23rd of December is a Saturday.
It's a Saturday. Christmas is on a Monday. Yeah.
So it's 8 more Saturdays before Christmas. Yeah. So thank you very much, Roger. Thank you, John. Thank you, Ricky. All those. Ray, I want to thank you as well for being part of the program. Edwin, Sam, and Kelvin Hector. Coco Shot, we have to talk sometime. We have to do a follow-up as per usual. Thank you, everyone, for being part of the program. Thank you, Rudian. And
it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, on the 28th. Thank you very much.
Yes, see you then. All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay then. All right. So there you have it, folks. Our program for this weekend. Always a pleasure having you. Hopefully you can join us come on the 28th, which is the following Saturday, where we hopefully have a guest and talk more and discuss more and have more insights into some sporting issue. Until then, I want to wish you a pleasant afternoon and weekend, and see you on the 28th, God's willing.